Hello there proxies, and welcome to the first look into Zenless Zone 0, also abbreviated to ZZZ. In this video, I will give you a quick and sweet overview of what to expect from MiHoYo's upcoming urban fantasy RPG. Before we begin, I'd like to thank them for sponsoring this video. Also, all of the footage you will see was recorded during the beta, so things are subject to change. Now, let's talk ZZZ. The game takes place in New Eridu, a futuristic post-apocalyptic place full of all kinds of fun and surprises. As the player, you assume the role of a famous proxy, an illegal hollow investigator known as Phaethon. And while you do choose which of the two main characters you control, much like in other Hoyo titles, in this game both of the characters will be very important and relevant in the story, which I thought was a pretty cool directional choice. Your job is to oversee the progress of people known as Hollow Raiders, making their way through the scary hollows, the hostile alternate dimensions that have been popping up. These raiders will be the characters you control in combat and the ones that are available for you to collect as well, with rich backgrounds and great interactions between them and their various factions that they belong to, where precise movement and timing is key. Players can of course roll their face on the controls, but if you take the time and get familiar with the feel of the game, skilled inputs will reward you with not only better results, but some seriously impressive visual spectacles that can feel extremely satisfying. To put it short, characters have normal attacks, skills, dodges, and ultimates. Attacking enemies builds daze on them, and when their daze is maxed out, the enemy becomes stunned, and you have an opportunity to perform a chain attack by using your skill on target during this time, which has another ally in your squad coming in to assist you for more damage. These can also be chained from one another. Ultimates can be unleashed when you accumulate enough decibel at any given point when you press the hotkey. You can swap your characters at any time pressing a button, but it should be noted that this switches to the next character in the squad rather than all characters having individual buttons for them, so positioning in your team building can be important. Now, if you swap a character when an enemy is signaling a special attack coming at the perfect timing, you get an assist attack that not only negates this damage, but heavily damages the enemy too. Win-win. The combat has way more depth to it than that, but I'll leave it at that for now for the purposes of this introductory video. I do want to emphasize again how fluid and fun the combat feels though, especially when you land some long and sick combos. The story is presented to you in various forms. We have standard dialogue with characters as 3D models rendered as usual, but then also these very cool comic strip-like panels with full illustrations and voiceovers that I love. Very old school vibe. There are also frequent cutscenes littered throughout to improve on the quality feel of the game. Outside of your secret job as a proxy, the main characters also operate a video rental shop where their base is also hidden. You can actually have a selection of videos on display, and depending on how well you manage your store, the more passive income, aka Denny's, you can generate. The city also has various other places to visit that unlock over time, like stores for different goodies, cafes, noodle stands where you can eat before heading out to battles to get a big buff, and a newsstand to catch the latest headlines regarding in-game lore. Oh, and don't forget to scratch your daily ticket there too. The player can also access the Internat with a bunch of urban legends and stories to read up on, and also occasionally commissions that you can take for bonus content. The Internat level also serves as your player level, and leveling up gives you a lot of free goodies and important progress milestones, like being able to level up your characters' max level higher. There are progress missions too that you should check out and try to complete. From your proxy hideout, you can do deep dive searches. These are separated into main story ones, exploratory ones, and straight up combat ones. Let's briefly talk about exploring hollows from these. You move around on a 3D plane of monitors, jumping around from one to another. There are dozens of different kinds of tiles to land on, some good, some bad. For instance, treasure chests for big one-time rewards, and combat tiles that instantly teleport you into battle. There are even some puzzles like pushing around blocks on pressure plates. Oh, and if you missed some loot in these, including the main quest, you can always go back into them later, so don't worry. Also in your hideout, you have the workbench, which acts like an archive of sorts. Characters and story info and various things you have come across in the Hollow are listed here. Now, let's talk the gacha. Known as search, players can choose from various different channels. This includes a tutorial one where you can get guaranteed S-rank agents from. Players familiar with Star Rail will be happy to hear that the gacha works more or less exactly the same way. Agent banners build pity up to 90 rolls for a guaranteed S-rank, and W engines, the weapon banner if you will, build up to 80 pity for a guaranteed S-rank. Pity also accumulates and carries over between channels of the same types. The one key difference is that agent and engine channels have 2 A rank rate ups instead of 3, so it's a bit easier to get what you want from that rarity, which I welcome. I'm also a fan of the big variety of agent designs available. We have your usual lineup of pretty girls, but also some robot, feral, and fantasy-like characters. And on the topic of characters, be sure to keep leveling and upgrading them and their engines as you progress, or otherwise you might find yourself facing unnecessary hardships. I've only scratched the surface here, but I also don't want to overwhelm you guys with information, so I'm gonna wrap up this video here. I've only spent about 5 to 10 hours playing the beta so far myself, but I can say that the game looks to be a pretty quality product already, in case you were looking to dive into a new game soon. If you enjoyed this brief look into Zenless Zone Zero, do me a solid and press the thumbs up button on this video, it greatly helps out the channel. Be sure to subscribe to not miss out on future uploads as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and a peace out.